The glass slipped. Not fell. Slipped. From fingers that had carried 1,000 trays. Without ever trembling. Amanda caught it mid-air. The crystal stem cold against her palm. But the sound had already escaped. A sharp, crystalline note. That sliced through the dining room. And made every head turn. Every head. Except his. Michael Thornton didn't look up from his phone. His thumb kept scrolling. Blue light washed over features that belonged on magazine covers. A sharp jawline, dark hair swept back with careless precision. A mouth that had forgotten how to smile. The Armani suit probably cost more than Amanda made in 6 months. Clumsy. He muttered it. Without lifting his eyes. The word landed like a slap. Amanda's fingers tightened around the glass. Her knuckles went white. She'd been on her feet for 11 hours. The lunch rush had bled into dinner service without mercy. Her lower back screamed with every step. Still, she straightened her spine, smoothed her black apron, set the water down with practiced grace. "My apologies, sir." Her voice came out steady, professional. It always did. Even when exhaustion sank into her bones. Even when customers treated her like furniture that occasionally brought food. Michael's eyes finally lifted. Gray. The color of winter storms. Of expensive watches. Of things Amanda would never afford. His gaze swept over her uniform, her tired face, and found nothing worth remembering. "Is my table ready?" "We're preparing it now, Mr. Thornton." She knew his name. Everyone at Celestine knew his name. Every Tuesday. Table 7. By the window. The same wine. No conversation. The staff whispered about him. Tech billionaire. Self-made at 38. Ruthless in business. Colder in person. Amanda had served him twice before. He'd never looked at her long enough to see her face. "I don't have time to wait." He checked his watch. Platinum. Gleaming. "I have a call with Singapore in 20 minutes. "Of course, sir. I'll check on." The door chimed. Amanda turned, and something in her chest went completely still. The woman who entered moved slowly, one hand gripping a wooden cane, the other clutching a worn leather purse. 70, maybe older. Silver hair pulled into a soft bun. Eyes holding oceans of quiet dignity. Her coat was clean, but faded. The hem carefully mended. She stood in the doorway of Celestine, where entrees started at $80, and looked out of place. No, not out of place. Afraid. Amanda recognized that look instantly. She'd seen it before. In her own mother's eyes, years ago, when illness stole strength, but not pride. When asking for help felt like surrender. The hostess was already approaching. Her smile professional. Her tone firm. "Good evening. Do you have a reservation?" The woman's voice was soft, accented, European, German, maybe. "I'm sorry. I think I made a mistake. I was looking for..." Her words faded. Her gaze drifted across the dining room. White tablecloths, crystal chandeliers, men in tailored suits, women in silk, prices that must have felt obscene to someone wearing a mended coat. "Perhaps there's another restaurant." The hostess began, gentle, but unmistakable. Something cracked inside Amanda's chest. She had been that woman. Not old. Not yet. But invisible in the same way. The kind of person who didn't belong in rooms built for power. who apologized for existing, for needing, for hoping someone might see her as human. Mrs. Kovac? The name escaped Amanda's lips before thought could stop it. It wasn't a guess. It was a lie. A lifeline thrown across deep water. The elderly woman turned. Confusion flickered across her face. Amanda crossed the distance in 4 quick steps. She didn't think. Thinking meant remembering her place. The rules. The fact that she was barely holding onto this job herself. "I'm so glad you found us." Her voice was warm. "Certain. Your son called ahead. He's waiting for you." The woman blinked. Her grip tightened on the cane. "My son." Amanda gently took her arm. Felt the fragile bone beneath the coat. Up close, she saw the tremor in the woman's hands. The exhaustion in her eyes. How long had she been walking? How far had she come? Only to stand at this door and realize she didn't belong? "This way," Amanda murmured. She guided her past the hostess, whose expression shifted from dismissive to uncertain, past the other diners, who had already lost interest, toward table 7, toward Michael Thornton. He was still on his phone, oblivious. Amanda's heart hammered against her ribs. This was insane. She was going to lose her job, but her feet kept moving, and the elderly woman leaned on her arm, trusting her, with a faith that burned. 3 steps from the table, the woman stiffened. She had seen him, and something crossed her face, something that made Amanda's blood run cold. Recognition. Raw. Devastating. Her free hand flew to her mouth. Her eyes filled with tears that refused to fall. "Mein Gott," she whispered. "Ist es? My God. Is it him?" Amanda understood German. Michael finally looked up from his phone, and Amanda watched, as every drop of color drained from his face. The silence lasted 3 seconds. 3 seconds, where Michael Thornton, who had built empires with cold calculation, who had fired men twice his age without blinking, stood frozen, like a man, watching his own execution. Then he stood, so abruptly, his chair scraped against the floor. "What is this?" His voice came out rough, unfamiliar. "What the hell is this?" The elderly woman took a trembling step forward. Her cane tapped against the marble. Her lips moved, forming words in German. Soft, broken. "Michael. Bist du mein Junge? Michael. Are you my boy?" Amanda felt the woman's weight shift against her arm. She was shaking now. Not just her hands. Her entire body vibrating, with something raw and uncontained. Michael's jaw tightened. His gray eyes went wide. Fear flickered there. Then anger. Then something darker, that Amanda couldn't name. "I don't know who you are," he said. Each word measured. "Lethal. But you need to leave. Now." The woman flinched, as if struck. "Michael, bit. I said leave." He turned to Amanda. The fury in his face made her breath catch. "What are you playing at? Who put you up to this?" The dining room had gone silent. Dozens of eyes watching. Amanda saw Laurent, the floor manager, already moving toward them. Quick. Purposeful. Her job was gone. She knew it. But the woman's fingers tightened around her arm. Desperate. Pleading. And Amanda wouldn't let go. "Sir," she just needed. "I don't care what she needs." Michael's voice rose, sharp. "This is harassment. This is. He stopped, his breath coming faster. Get her out of here. Ich have dich gesagt. The woman's voice cracked. 20 Jar. 20 Jar, mein Sohn. I've been looking for you. 20 years. The words hung in the air, heavy and inescapable. Amanda watched Michael's face. Something flickered behind the rage. Recognition. Fighting desperately. To stay buried. His hands curled into fists. A muscle jumped in his jaw. I'm not your son. His voice went flat. My mother died when I was 18. The woman made a small sound. Soft. Broken. A sound that seemed to collapse inward. Her knees buckled. Amanda caught her weight, struggling to keep them upright. Mrs. Kovac. It's Weber, the woman whispered, her accent thick with tears. Susan Weber. And he is my son. Laurent reached them, his expression tight, with professional concern. Miss Monroe. What's going on here? Amanda opened her mouth. Michael answered first. She brought this woman to my table. Uninvited. She disrupted my meal. She caused a scene. I want her fired. Immediately. The words hit hard. Amanda needed this job. Needed the paycheck. The fragile stability she'd fought for, after her mother's illness, had destroyed everything. But Susan Weber was crying now, silent tears sliding down her cheeks. I'll leave, she said quietly. I didn't mean to. She drew in a shaking breath. I thought maybe after all this time, you would want to know. I was alive. She tried to turn toward the door. Her legs failed. The cane hit the floor. Michael didn't move. Didn't help. He stood rigid, carved from ice. But his hands, Amanda saw his hands, were trembling. Let me help you sit, Amanda whispered. She guided Susan to a chair. Miss Monroe, Laurent warned. That's enough. Amanda. Susan's voice was calmer now, resigned. It's okay. I shouldn't have come. No. The word came out firm. Amanda looked up at Laurent. Give me 2 minutes. Please. He hesitated, then nodded. Amanda crouched beside Susan. Up close, she saw the exhaustion, the pain etched into her face. Warum verstest du Michigan? Susan asked softly. Why do you understand me? My mother was German. Amanda replied. From Hamburg. Susan's face crumpled. Mein Mutter war aus Hamburg. Behind them, Michael made a sound. Sharp. Involuntary. Amanda turned. He was staring at them now. Color drained from his face. You speak German. He whispered. Yes. The whole time, his throat tightened. What did I say? What did I say to her? The question hung between them. Because every Tuesday, Michael came here. And every Tuesday, he spoke German. To the woman everyone believed was his mother. Words Amanda had understood. Words about obligation. About burden. About wishing she would disappear. But the woman in the corner booth wasn't Susan Weber. The realization hit Amanda like ice water. Every Tuesday, for 3 months, she had watched Michael sit across from a silver-haired woman in expensive clothes. She had heard him speak German in low, cutting tones. Everyone assumed, she assumed, it was his mother. But Susan Weber wore a mended coat. She leaned on a wooden cane. Her hands were twisted with arthritis. Her shoes had been repaired too many times. Susan Weber looked like someone who had spent 20 years searching, not 20 years being paid to disappear. "Who is she?" Amanda asked quietly. "The woman you bring here every week." Michael's face went blank. "That's none of your concern." "Ein Krankenschwester?" Susan asked. "A nurse? Ein Betreuerin? A caretaker?" Michael didn't answer. He didn't need to. Susan let out a sound. That wasn't quite a laugh. "Du bezahlst jemanden, den Mutter zu sein." You pay someone to be your mother. The words landed heavy. Amanda watched Michael's jaw clench, watched his hands curl tighter. He looked like a man fighting the urge to run or to break something. Instead, he stayed perfectly still. "Miss Monroe." Laurent had returned. His voice was firm now, impatient. "Security is here." Two men in dark suits stood nearby. Amanda's heart slammed against her ribs. This was it. The moment everything she had built, fragile and temporary, came crashing down. But she couldn't look away from Susan, from the resignation in her eyes, from the quiet acceptance of being unwanted. "I need to know she gets home safely." Amanda said. "That's not your responsibility." "Then whose is it?" Her voice sharpened. "She can barely stand. You're going to put her on the street and call that acceptable? Enough. I'll pay for a car." Michael's voice cut through, flat, final. "I'll pay to take her wherever she wants. But I want her gone. Now." He pulled out his wallet. Didn't count. Several $100 bills hit the table. Mechanical, dismissive. Money solving problems. Money erasing people. Susan stared at the bills. "Ich will dein Geld nicht." "I don't want your money." Her voice was steady now, empty. "I only wanted to know if my son was still alive." "I'm not your son," Michael said, but the words cracked. "You were 18 when I left." Susan said softly. "You were angry. You had every right." "I don't want to hear this. I was sick. Very sick. Your father said I was a burden, a disgrace." Michael's breath hitched. His fingers pressed into the table edge. "He said you'd be better off without me. So I left. You abandoned me." The words tore out of him, raw, unprotected. "You left me with him and never came back." "I tried." Susan's eyes were dry now, but her voice carried decades. 19 letters. Letters written carefully. He burned every single one. The dining room went silent. Even the kitchen noise faded. "No," Michael said. "You don't get to come here after 20 years and rewrite my life." "I'm not rewriting anything," Susan replied. "I'm telling you the truth." "The truth." Michael laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. "I came home from school. You were gone. No note. No explanation. He told you I was dead." The words fell heavy. Michael froze. His face emptied, then twisted. Denial. Recognition. "No. After 6 months." Susan said. "He told you I died of cancer. I was living in a women's shelter in Cleveland, trying to stand again, trying to reach you." "Stop." Michael's voice broke. "I only found you Last year. She continued. You changed your name. Amanda's breath caught. Thornton. Another wall. Michael pressed his hands flat against the table, his whole body rigid, holding himself together. Security. Laurent said quietly. Wait. The word escaped Amanda. Please. Just 1 minute. Laurent looked at her. You're already fired. I know. She felt the future collapse. Eviction notices. Unpaid prescriptions. Everything she rebuilt. Falling again. But Susan was looking. At her son. Hope. Barely alive. Michael stared at his hands. Like they belonged to someone else. 1 minute. Amanda said. Laurent exhaled. Then nodded. Amanda turned back. Michael still hadn't moved. His breathing shallow. Uneven. Susan waited. Hands folded. Eyes locked. On his face. What do you want? From me? Michael finally asked. Barely audible. Susan's answer was simple. Devastating. Nothing. I just wanted to see if you were okay. Michael lifted a hand to his neck. His fingers tightened around the knot of his tie, as if it were choking him. Amanda watched the armor crack. Not loudly. Not all at once. But enough to see what was underneath. I'm fine, he said. The words sounded practiced. Automatic. I'm successful. You can see that. Susan nodded. Her eyes moved over the suit. The watch. The confidence money creates. I see it. But there was no pride there. Only sadness. Are you happy? Michael stepped back, as if the question had struck him. That's not. He stopped. What does that have to do with anything? Everything. Amanda felt like she was witnessing something she wasn't meant to see. Too exposed. Too real. You don't get to ask me that, Michael said. You don't get to disappear for 20 years. And then, his voice broke. He told me you were dead. I believed him. I mourned you. I know. Susan said. You don't know. Michael snapped. I was 18. I had no one. And he stopped himself. His throat tightened. He hurt you too. Susan didn't ask. She knew. Michael's silence confirmed it. Something twisted in Amanda's chest. For months, she had watched this man. Seen how he treated people like objects. Now she saw why. The structure beneath the cruelty. The pain holding everything upright. Your father was dangerous, Susan said carefully. But I should have been stronger. For you. I should have been stronger. You should have tried harder. Michael said. The words came out raw. You should have done anything. Except disappear. You're right. The answer caught him off guard. Susan didn't soften it. I was afraid. She continued. Afraid of your father. Afraid of being sick. Afraid of having nothing. I thought if I stayed, I would die. And I thought if I left, you might survive. So you chose yourself. Yes. She didn't look away. I chose to live. And it was selfish. And it was wrong. And I have lived with it. Every day since. The silence was heavy. Susan's tears fell slowly. She didn't wipe them away. Michael's hands trembled. He hid them in his pockets. I spent years wondering, he said, what I did wrong. What would have made you stay? Nothing, Susan said. You were a child. You did nothing wrong. Then why does it still feel like I did? The question sounded young. For a moment, Amanda didn't see a billionaire. She saw an abandoned son. Time's up. Lauren's voice was firm. Susan reached for her cane. Amanda stepped forward. Michael's hand lifted, stopped inches from his mother's arm, then dropped. I'll arrange a car, he said. I can walk. You can barely stand. Something flickered in Susan's face. You noticed. I notice everything, Michael replied. That's how I built my company. Amanda heard the truth beneath it. I see pain, and I don't know what to do with it. Where are you staying? Amanda asked. At a shelter, near the bus station. A shelter, Michael repeated. You came all this way to stay in a shelter. I manage. Michael's jaw tightened. Take her to the Fairmont, he said suddenly. I'll call ahead. It's not for you, he added quickly. It's so I don't have to imagine you there. Susan studied him, then nodded. All right. Thank you. Michael turned to Amanda. You're still fired. I know. What you did was inappropriate, unethical. Then why did you do it? Amanda met his eyes. Because she needed help, and because sometimes doing the right thing costs everything. Something shifted in Michael's face. Brief, uncontrolled. Then it was gone. Security will escort you, he said. I don't want to see either of you again. The security guards moved in with practiced efficiency. One offered Susan his arm. Professional, impersonal. The other gestured for Amanda to follow. She went. What choice did she have? Her locker was in the basement, past the kitchen where cooks would pause and stare, where whispers would already be spreading. Amanda Monroe finally snapped. Brought some random woman to Thornton's table. Got herself fired over nothing. Except it hadn't been nothing. Amanda glanced back once as they reached the dining room entrance. Michael had returned to his table. He wasn't sitting. He stood with his back to them, one hand pressed flat against the white tablecloth, his head bowed. From this angle, he looked less like a billionaire, and more like a man trying not to break. Then the door closed. The lobby was marble and soft light. Susan moved slowly beside the guard, her cane tapping a rhythm that sounded like exhaustion. Amanda quickened her step. Mrs. Weber, she said quietly. Are you all right? Susan turned. The tears were gone. So was the hope. What remained was a bone-deep weariness that went far beyond the physical. I knew he would not want to see me, Susan said. But I had to try. She studied Amanda. You understand. Amanda nodded. She understood trying when the outcome was already written. Understood hope as a form of self-destruction. The car is here, the guard said. A black sedan waited at the curb. Michael worked fast. Of course he did. Susan suddenly gripped Amanda's hand. Her fingers were arthritic, but strong. Pass auf dich auf, she said softly. Take care of yourself. You have a good heart. That is dangerous. Then she was helped into the car, and Amanda was turned back inside. Down the service elevator. Into the fluorescent-lit break room that smelled like industrial cleaner and burnt coffee. Her locker was number 17. She'd memorized the combination months ago. 12, 34, 16. Her mother's birthday. The metal door opened to almost nothing. A spare pair of non-slip shoes. A hoodie. Half a bottle of ibuprofen. 11-hour shifts. A life that fit into 6 square feet. You have 5 minutes, the guard said. Not unkindly. Amanda nodded. Her hands moved automatically. Her mind stayed upstairs. Still seeing Michael's face drain of color. Still hearing Susan whisper main zone. That was some scene. Amanda turned. Claudia stood in the doorway, still in her server uniform. They'd worked together for months. Shared cigarette breaks neither could afford. Yeah, Amanda said. Lawrence furious, Claudia added. Thornton threatened to pull his account. Of course he did. Why'd you do it? Claudia asked. You knew you'd get fired. I know. So why? Amanda paused. She reminded me of my mom, she said finally. At the end. Too proud to ask for help. Desperate enough to try anyway. Claudia was quiet. You're still paying her medical bills, she said. Amanda zipped her bag. I was. Past tense. Without this job, the payment plan would collapse. The calls would start again. The careful house of cards she'd rebuilt after her mother's death would fall. I'm sorry, Claudia said. It was my choice, Amanda replied. Doesn't make it easier. No. The guard cleared his throat. Amanda closed the locker. The metallic clang echoed. Final. 2 years. Long enough to believe she might be building something stable. The exit was through the kitchen, up the service stairs, out the side door. The November air bit cold. Amanda pulled on her hoodie. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. Then it buzzed again. An unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Hello. Miss Monroe. A woman's voice. Calm. Professional. This is Caroline from Mr. Thornton's office. Amanda's stomach dropped. He'd like to see you. I don't think. It's not optional, Caroline said. There's a car waiting at 5th and 52nd. Black sedan. Why does he want to see me? I'm not at liberty to say. The line went dead. Amanda stood there, heart racing. She'd been fired. Escorted out. He'd said he never wanted to see her again. And yet her feet moved. Toward the corner. The black sedan waited exactly where she'd been told. The rear window slid down. Inside sat Michael Thornton. His eyes met hers through the glass. Still gray. Still cold. But fractured now. Unstable. Get in, he said. It wasn't a request. And against every instinct telling her to run, Amanda opened the door. The interior smelled like leather. And something expensive Amanda couldn't name. She slid onto the seat. Keeping distance. The door closed. Heavy. Final. Silence. Michael stared straight ahead. Jaw tight. Hands resting on his thighs. With unnatural stillness. The car didn't move. Through the tinted glass. People hurried past. Unaware of the pressure filling the space. Why am I here? Amanda asked. Michael's fingers twitched. You speak German. Yes. Fluently. My mother made sure of it. He turned then. Up close, in the dim light. She saw the exhaustion in his face. Dark circles. Tension carved deep. He looked older than he had an hour ago. For 3 months. He said slowly. You heard everything. Every Tuesday. Every word. Amanda swallowed. Yes. And you never said anything. It wasn't my place. Not your place. His voice lifted slightly. Controlled. Angry. I talked about. He stopped. Jaw clenched. The things I said. I know what you said. Then why didn't you tell someone? Tell who? Amanda met his gaze. Tell the woman you pay. that you despise her. Tell management. You hired someone to pretend. It wasn't my business. But today you made it your business. His voice cracked. You brought her to my table. You destroyed everything. She's your mother. She's nothing. The words were vicious. Hollow. She left me. She doesn't get to. She's dying. The sentence landed hard. Michael froze. Color drained from his face. What? I don't know what it is. Amanda said quietly. But she's sick. The way she moves. The way she breathes. She's running out of time. You don't know that. I do. You're a waitress. Not a doctor. The words were meant to cut. They did. But Amanda stayed still. I watched my mother die of cancer. She said. 18 months. I know what the end looks like. Michael's hands curled into fists. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked. Why I'm here. And because you already know. You noticed she could barely stand. You noticed the pain. And it terrified you. I'm not terrified. Then why did you call me? The question stayed between them. The driver sat motionless up front, giving privacy. Michael's breathing was shallow. The woman I bring here, he said. Mrs. Hoffman. She's a nurse. I pay her to have lunch with me. To speak German. To let me say the things I never said to my mother. Amanda felt something crack. Don't, he said sharply. I didn't want to hurt anyone. It was easier to say the words to someone who didn't matter. But you knew they were cruel. Yes. The admission was raw. And you said them anyway. Because I was angry. His voice finally broke through. I've been angry for 20 years. I didn't know where to put it. So I put it into words. A performance. Say everything. Walk away clean. But she wasn't dead. No. His laugh shattered. And now she's here. She said my father told me. She was dead. Do you believe her? Michael turned away. I don't know. My father was cold. Controlling. He wanted me untouchable. And I became that. But you needed her. I was 18. The words came apart. She left. He told me she was dead. Then he died too. And I was alone. Completely. So you built walls. Amanda said. Walls of money and power. And they worked. Michael said. Until today. She tried to reach you. Amanda said. 19 letters. I never saw them. His hands shook now. If he burned them, then everything you believed was built on a lie. Michael made a broken sound. My entire life. Every decision. Every distance. What have I done? She's at the Fairmont. Amanda said softly. Room 412. I checked. You called. I wanted to make sure. She was safe. Why do you care? The question was honest. You lost your job. Because I understand you. Amanda said. I know loss. I know what it does. How it makes you hard. Afraid to care. Michael looked at her. Something shifted. Your mother. Yes. She was everything. And I watched her fade. When she died, I was angry. At everyone. At her. But she didn't choose to leave. No. Amanda held his gaze. And that's why this hurts more. You can't forgive someone who chose to go. Michael's breath hitched. I don't know how to face her. Yes, you do. I can't. You go to the Fairmont. Amanda said. You knock. You listen. And if I can't forgive her, then at least, Amanda said quietly, you'll know who she really is, before it's too late. The car idled in silence. Michael's breathing was slow, deliberate, like he was holding himself together, through sheer force of will. I fired you, he said at last. I know. You should hate me for that. Amanda almost laughed. I've been hated for less, she said. It doesn't change anything. It should. Michael turned toward her. His expression was raw now. You did the right thing, he said. And it cost you everything. That's not fair. Fair. Amanda shook her head. Nothing about today was fair. But fair doesn't matter. What matters is what happens next. Michael's jaw tightened. I could get you your job back. Don't. The word came out sharper than she intended. Michael blinked. I can't go back there. Amanda continued. Everyone saw what happened. I'd walk in and be the woman who made the billionaire break. It's over. Then let me help you. His voice was urgent now, almost desperate. Another restaurant. A reference. Money too. No. Amanda. No. She met his eyes. I don't want your guilt, she said. I don't want to be another problem. You solve with your wallet. Michael flinched. That's not what Isn't it? Her voice softened. You paid for your mother's hotel. You paid Mrs. Hoffman to pretend. You've spent 20 years turning people into transactions. Because it's safer than letting them matter. The silence was crushing. Michael stared at her. Shock. Recognition. You're right, he said finally, barely audible. I didn't say it to hurt you. I know. He ran a hand through his hair, ruining its perfect shape. You said it because it's true. Because you're the first person in years who's been honest with me. Through the windshield, Amanda watched the city move. People rushing home. Lives with structure. With certainty. She'd had that this morning. Now she was unemployed, broke, and having the most real conversation she'd had in years. What will you do? Michael asked quietly. After this. Amanda shrugged. Find another job. Try not to get evicted. That's not a plan. It's the only one I have. Michael was quiet for a long moment. Come work for me. Amanda turned sharply. What? Come work for me, he repeated. Not as a suggestion. Not as a waitress. As something else. I need someone who isn't afraid to tell me the truth. Someone who sees through the bullshit. Someone who speaks German? Amanda asked. Michael's expression flickered. That too. Michael. I'm serious. He leaned forward. I have an entire company. Full of people who say yes. People who see dollar signs instead of human beings. You risked everything for a stranger because it was right. You understand loss, he said. You understand survival. When everything falls apart. Amanda's chest tightened. That doesn't make me qualified. It makes you more qualified than anyone I've hired. In 5 years. You don't even know me. I know enough. He held her gaze. I know you're honest. Brave. I know you worked at Celestine For 2 years. Double shifts. Never calling in sick. Amanda stared at him. You know all that? I notice everything, he said quietly. Remember. The weight of his attention was overwhelming. Amanda looked away. I can't, she said. Why not? Because you're vulnerable right now. Your world is falling apart. And I'm broke. Unemployed. I can't be your anchor. Michael didn't answer right away. What if we're both drowning? He said. What if that's exactly why this works? Something dangerous shifted in Amanda's chest. She forced herself to really look at him. Past the suit. Past the control. She saw exhaustion. Loneliness. A man who built an empire to prove he didn't need anyone, only to discover that isolation was its own kind of death. I need time, she said finally. Michael nodded. That's fair. And you need to see your mother. His expression closed. I don't. Yes, you do. Her voice was firm. None of this matters. If you don't face her, if you don't learn the truth, if you don't let yourself feel something other than anger. Michael's hands trembled. He pressed them flat against his thighs. What if she's lying? He asked. What if my father was right? Then you'll know, Amanda said, and you can move forward. And if she's telling the truth, if he kept her away, if everything I believed was, then you'll have to decide if you can forgive your father, your mother, and yourself. Michael closed his eyes, breathing uneven. I don't know if I can do this. You can. How do you know? Because you called me, Amanda said simply. Because you didn't run. Because somewhere under all that armor, you're still the 18-year-old boy who lost his mother. A tear slipped down Michael's cheek. He wiped it away quickly. Room 412. He said. Room 412. He leaned forward and tapped the partition. Take Miss Monroe wherever she needs to go. Then take me to the Fairmont. He reached for the door. Stopped. Amanda. She turned. Thank you, he said quietly. For today. For seeing me. Then he was gone. The door closed. His silhouette disappeared. Into the evening crowd. Amanda sat alone, in the leather-scented silence, and wondered if she'd just saved someone's life, or destroyed what was left of her own. The Fairmont lobby gleamed with marble and gold, the kind of place where Amanda's worn hoodie drew polite, discreet glances. She shouldn't be here. She'd asked the driver to drop her 2 blocks away, then walked back. She told herself it was to make sure Susan was settled, that it had nothing to do with whether Michael would come back. She found a chair hidden behind a potted palm, and sat. Watched the elevator doors. 7:43 p.m. No messages. The world moving on without her. At 8:17, Michael walked through the revolving doors. He looked smaller somehow, despite his height. Tie loosened. Hair disheveled. He moved like a man walking toward his own execution. Slow, inevitable, afraid. Amanda stayed seated. This wasn't her moment. Michael stopped at the elevator. His finger hovered over the call button. His hand shook. He closed his eyes, drew a breath, forced himself steady. The elevator arrived. He stepped inside. The doors closed. Amanda waited. Minutes passed. Her phone dropped to 15%. People came and went. Laughter, luggage wheels. Life continuing. At 9:02, the elevator doors opened. Michael stepped out, looking destroyed. His face blotchy, eyes red-rimmed. 3 steps into the lobby, he stopped. Just stopped. Chest rising too fast. Amanda stood before she could stop herself. He saw her. Surprise crossed his face. Then relief. Something raw. She walked to him. Didn't speak. Just waited. She has pancreatic cancer, Michael said. His voice barely held together. Stage 4. 6 months. Maybe less. Amanda's chest tightened. She'd known. Still, hearing it hurt. The arthritis is from chemotherapy. He continued, words spilling out. She's been in treatment for 8 months. Sold everything to pay for it. She was staying in a shelter between rounds. Michael. She found me 6 months ago, he went on. Saw an article. Recognized my face, even after the name change. His breath hitched. She spent weeks deciding whether to contact me. Weeks. My father lied, Michael said, rage and grief tangled together. She wrote 19 letters. Called dozens of times. He turned her away. Every time. Told her I didn't want to see her. That I blamed her. That I was better off without her. Amanda felt tears burn. And she believed him, Michael said. She was sick. Broke. So she stopped trying. I thought she was dead, he whispered. I mourned her. I spent 20 years hating her for leaving. And she spent 20 years thinking I hated her for existing. Amanda swallowed. Did you tell her the truth? Michael nodded. I told her everything. How he said she died. How I believed it. How I paid someone to pretend. So I could say the things I never got to say. What did she do? She cried, he said softly. She held my face and cried. And then I cried. I haven't cried since I was 18. The lobby was nearly empty. Amanda wanted to reach for him. But this grief was too large. All she could do was stand there. She wants to know me, Michael said. Before the end. She wants to know who I became. If I'm happy. Amanda looked at him. Are you? Michael let out a broken laugh. I've been asked that twice today. The answer is no. I'm successful, powerful, but happy. No. I don't think I've been happy since I was 17. The truth hung between them. She's staying another week, he said. I told her I'd come back tomorrow. That we'd really talk. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to have a mother again. You just show up, Amanda said. That's all. Michael studied her. Is that what you did with your mother? Yes. Every day. And was it worth it? Yes, Amanda said immediately. Every second. Because at the end, she knew she wasn't alone. And I knew I didn't waste the time we had. Michael's eyes shone. 6 months. Maybe less. Maybe more. It's not enough time. It never is, Amanda said. But it's the time you have. You can spend it angry about the years you lost. Or grateful for the time you found. Michael was quiet. Then he said, "Come with me tomorrow." Amanda blinked. What? Come when I see her. I need someone who understands. Someone who won't let me run. Please. The word was bare. Amanda thought of her empty apartment. The job applications. Then she remembered her mother's voice. Don't let fear make you small. Okay, she said. Michael exhaled. Thank you. But Michael, Amanda added. "This isn't about me fixing you. This is about you doing the work. I can be there, but the healing is yours." He nodded. "I know. Do you? Because it's going to hurt." "I know," he said. "I'm not ready, but I'm willing." Amanda nodded. And in the gold-lit lobby, amid marble and strangers and broken history, something fragile and necessary began to take root. 3 months later, Amanda stood in Susan's hospital room, watching golden afternoon light paint soft patterns across white sheets. The room was filled with flowers, chrysanthemums from Michael's office, wildflowers from the community garden, roses from hospice staff, who had fallen in love with Susan's quiet dignity. The air smelled like antiseptic and lily of the valley. Susan lay propped against pillows, silver hair thin from treatment, hands resting over a photo album Michael had brought. Pictures of him as a child, gap-toothed, laughing, before loss had taught him to hide. "He's coming today?" Susan asked. "Yes," Amanda said, adjusting the blanket. "After his 2 o'clock meeting." Susan smiled. The smile Amanda had watched bloom as Michael learned to show up. Every day at first, terrified, awkward, then every other day, as work demanded attention, but never more than 48 hours, without a visit. He had kept his promise. "He looks happier," Susan murmured. "Don't you think?" Amanda did. She had watched the ice in Michael's eyes thaw, degree by careful degree, watched him laugh at Susan's childhood stories, watched him cry without shame when the oncologist delivered bad news. 3 weeks earlier, the cancer was winning, but something else was winning too. "He hired me," Amanda said, sitting down. "Executive assistant. Though I think he really hired me to keep him human." Susan's eyes crinkled. "And do you?" "I try," Amanda said. "Yesterday he yelled at a board member. I made him apologize." "And did he?" "Eventually, after I threatened to tell you." Susan laughed. Soft, wheezing, real. "You're good for him." The words landed heavy. In 3 months, something had shifted between Amanda and Michael. Nothing spoken, nothing acted on, just a shared understanding that went beyond employer and employee. Grief had made them careful, honest, real. "He's good for me too," Amanda admitted quietly. Susan's hand found hers, weak, but warm. "I know," she said. "I see how he looks at you. With hope, with trust." Amanda's throat tightened. "He forgave you," she said. "Michael told me last week. He said he understands why you left." Susan's eyes filled. "Did he tell you he can't forgive his father?" "Yes." "Good," Susan said. "Some people don't deserve forgiveness. Some wounds are allowed to remain scars." The words settled between them. Not bitterness, permission. The door opened. Michael stepped inside. Tie loosened, eyes going first to his mother, always checking, then to Amanda. Something passed between them. Relief. Recognition. "My boy," Susan said. Michael crossed the room, kissed her forehead. "How are you today?" "Tired," she said, "but happy you're here." Amanda moved to stand. Michael's hand touched her shoulder. Light, brief. Stay. So she stayed. For the next hour, Amanda watched Michael read German poetry to his mother, watched him hold her hand through a coughing fit, watched him adjust pillows, bring water, talk about work with a warmth he'd learned to show, not because Susan understood the details, but because she loved hearing him passionate. Susan fell asleep mid-sentence. Michael sat back. Exhaustion etched into him. Amanda moved closer, close enough that their shoulders nearly touched. How long? He asked quietly. Days. Amanda said. Maybe a week. Michael nodded. I thought I'd have more time. 3 months was never enough. No, he said. But it was more than I thought I'd ever have again. He turned to her. In his eyes, Amanda saw gratitude, braided with terror, the knowledge that loving someone meant choosing loss, and choosing love anyway. Thank you, Michael said, for that first day, for every day since, for not letting me run. You did the hard part, Amanda said. You showed up. We both did. Susan stirred. Her eyes opened. She looked at them standing close, and smiled. Promise me something, she whispered. Promise you won't wait 20 years. Michael's breath caught. Life is short, Susan said, and love doesn't come often enough to waste. She closed her eyes. Content. Michael stood frozen. Amanda felt the weight of Susan's words settle between them. She's right, Amanda said softly. Michael turned to her. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. This, whatever this is. Neither do I, Amanda said. But maybe we figure it out together. Slowly, honestly, the way they'd done everything else. Michael nodded. Okay. It wasn't a declaration. It wasn't a promise. Just an acknowledgement that something existed. Outside, the sun set, painting the room gold. Michael took Amanda's hand, carefully, tentatively, and together, they sat vigil, as the light faded, and the space between ending and beginning stretched wide, and impossibly tender. But this story isn't over yet. Susan's time is running out. Michael is learning what it means to love someone when you know you're about to lose them. And Amanda, she's standing on the edge of something she never planned, something that terrifies her as much as it draws her in. Will they have the courage to accept what Susan is offering, or will fear steal another 20 years? If this story touched you, if it made you feel something real, subscribe to the channel now. Leave a like. If you believe in second chances, even when they come too late, turn on notifications so you never miss a story that truly matters. And tell me in the comments, could you forgive someone who abandoned you for 20 years? Would you risk loving again after losing everything? Some answers change us. This is the kind of story that stays with you after it ends. The kind that makes you call someone you've been avoiding for far too long. Because time is the one thing we never get back.